All right, good evening. Today is October 11th. It is now here past 5:30. We will call this council meeting to order. Invitation by Vice Chairman Carroll, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Let's pray. Our precious Heavenly Father, we're thankful for our ability to be here tonight. Thank you for your rich and many blessings that you give us every day. We thank you for this county and what it means to us. And Lord, we just ask that the things that we do tonight to guide this county are pleasing in your sight and the things you would have done. We ask these things in the precious name of Jesus. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First up, we have approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Rankin, second by Ms. Clark. Are there any additions or deletions to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for, I'm sorry, the agenda. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote to approve the agenda. All in favor, raise your right hand. 7-0. Next up, we have the approval of the minutes. We have three sets, September 27th, August 18th, and August 25th. I have a motion for the approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes of September 22nd, 27th, 2022, August 18th, 2022, August 25th, 2022.
We have a motion by Ms. Clark.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. Are there any additions or deletions to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. All right, next up, we have public comments. Have fewer tonight than last time, but as this is on the paper, we will go with a 5-minute discussion on this 15 listed. Up first is Mr. Riddle. Robert Riddle.
My name's Stan Riddle. I'm 75 acre farm up on Derby Road. This is my first visit down here. I guess I should have been involved a little sooner. I feel like I was probably coming out of the tail end of this thing. So a little uneducated about what all was going on, just what I've gained word of mouth. And I've got a couple of questions I'd like to ask and then a couple of remarks I'd like to make. I'll try to make it real quick. One thing I'd like to know is what, if anything, is going to be done about the county roads. I know y'all don't have anything to do with state roads, but I hope that y'all have asked the state what they plan to do about Durbin Road out there, which is a state road. And can anybody tell me that there's not some concerns been raised with all the people that's going to be moving in out there, and that road's going to be able to handle that traffic, because a blind man can tell that it can't. And I know the county roads is not going to be able to absorb it. So hopefully y'all got something that works to do that. I've been told y'all said you didn't have money to fix it. But if you don't, surely y'all will be able to get a grant or something, local Sam there, and have it these days and giving away a lot of money, so y'all all be standing with your hand. But with that said, I'll move on. I'll move on from the roads. I got a letter here a while back, and I guess it was from, I thought maybe it was from Lawrence County, but I guess looking back, it came from Greenville County Sewer District. I kind of pieced together here the last week that Lawrence County don't have a sewer plant over in Lawrence County, so I guess all the developments are getting sewer from Greenville County sewer plant. so graciously let come into our county right up there next to our property. Am I correct in saying that?
I would defer to, I don't have an answer for you
I
personally.
know y'all gotta know the answer to that. Y'all haven't been sitting here all these months and these subdivisions coming in and y'all not knowing where the sewer's going.
So we don't own the sewer company, but it's normally how it works is Lawrence County Water Sewer would physically service the addresses, but they do pump their waste to another sewer facility. You are correct on that. But they're normally serviced by Lawrence County Water.
So it is going to Graham County Sewer,
To be treated, yes.
which is gonna be contract through Lawrence County, so I am correct on that. So my next question would be, is all of our property up there gonna be available for that sewer? I mean, right now, my land's farmland, but let's say next year I decide to sell my land to a developer, is he gonna be available to use sewer? Or is that
So
something?
it'd be between the developer and Lawrence County Water Sewer. The county wouldn't have any say so in that.
So that would be something that you'd have to ask the sewer authority.
The developer would, yes.
Will y'all, how many acres do y'all plan on allowing to be put on acre of land for housing development? I've been hearing all this stuff about open, if you do an open subdivision with set aside land for a park or all this. That's too confusing for an old man like me. I don't like hearing that kind of stuff. All I want to know is, you got two different things. You're gonna have a set aside land for open land for a park, and then you're not gonna have it. So what, break it down to simple terms for people like me. I want to know, there's two different size lots that we're gonna be looking at, that we're gonna be faced with, that we can have. We're gonna have either a certain number of lots for one proposed thing, and on the other end, we'll have a different. So what are we looking at tonight?
If they're being served by water and sewer, public water, public sewer, and they're not putting in any parks or green space, it's half acre. So that'd be 2 per acre. If they are building green space and putting that in their subdivision, it'd be 1/4 acre lots, which is 4 an acre.
So you're looking at 2 houses per acre if you've got
Just a plain Jane subdivision, yes,
plain Jane subdivision, 2 per acre.
correct.
That's, you know, I told some of these folks sitting back here tonight, there's a lot of people sitting back here not gonna be happy with everything I've got to say. I'm a pretty plain spoken guy. I think we ought to be fair with everybody. I think we ought to be fair with the folks that don't want change. I think we need to be fair with folks that are happy with change. And I think there ought to be somewhere down the middle that everybody ought to be willing to meet. I could really care less about a development. I'm interested in the people back here that don't want change. And I'm interested in the people that maybe someday won't sell their place and want to get as much money for it as they can get. And if you reduce the lot size, then you're gonna reduce the value of the property that they're gonna sell their property for. Anybody sitting in this room has got enough sense to figure that out. So I think something that'll be met in the middle. And I think two houses per lot, I think is too small. I don't think that's right. I think there ought to be at least 3. I mean, especially now when they do it 5. I mean, y'all want to get in, I don't agree with that. I'm not making these people behind me, some of them been friends all my life. I can feel the knives going in my back right here. But I got to say how I feel.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time.
And mine ain't for sale today, but it might be tomorrow. So I'm thinking about myself just as well as I am my neighbor down the road that might one day want to sell it. And I got, you can bet your bottom dollar, some of my friends in the back, they won't start selling theirs. They gonna want as much as they can get for it too. Whether they want it me tonight or not. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. next up, we have, Ms. Brock. Ms. Brock.
I had a lot planned, but basically just long and short of it is this. I just believe we need to ensure due diligence by the county to ensure accountability by developers. In order to do that, I think inspections should be required to ensure they're adhering to the approved plat. I personally have requested inspection because one of the developments is all around our property by both council and code department. I haven't received a response. I don't know the proper procedure to ensure inspections are being done. I would just like to, as an adjacent property owner, be able to know that an inspection was done. I believe I have evidence that they're not adhering to the plat, but I need a full understanding of what that is. We just need to ensure protection of our rights and privacy as landowners currently in the area. Yes. Thank you.
Next up, Ms. Nancy Garrison.
My name is Nancy Garrison, Fountain Inn. Thank you for your time tonight. All these points are taken from the South Carolina Local Government Comprehensive Planning Enabling Act of 1994, except we're referring to the Lawrence County Comprehensive Plan of 2012. Purpose of the Planning Commission: to undertake and continue planning program for the physical, social, and economical growth and development and redevelopment of the unincorporated portions of Lawrence County, to promote public health, safety, morals, convenience, prosperity, or the general welfare, as well as the efficiency and economy of the area and the jurisdiction. Prepare and revise periodic plans and programs for development, redevelopment of this area as provided in this chapter, and prepare and recommend the adoption to appropriate governing authority or authorities as means of implementing the plans and programs in this area. A, zoning ordinances. B, regulations for subdivisions and development of land, an official map, a landscape ordinance, a capital improvements program, policies and procedures to facilitate implementation of planning and elements. Comprehensive plan, purpose, to guide the development and redevelopment of Lawrence County, to promote the wise and efficient use of public funds for future growth, development, redevelopment of the area of jurisdiction, and consideration of fiscal impact on property owners. The scope: it is meant to cover at one point in time, must be reviewed as often as necessary, not less than every 5 years, to see if the changes in the direction of the or development of the county require changes to the comprehensive plan. It must be updated once every 10 years. History of Lawrence County's plan. The current Lawrence County Comprehensive Plan was adopted on May 14, 2013. However, it was only meant to cover the years from 2010 to 2020. The draft was done 8/31 of 2010. Draft was sent to the Planning Commission on January 17, 2012, with a final revision of July 18, 2012. Used 2000 to 2010 for the data. We're using old data. Violations, approval of subdivisions, mechanisms in place. A variance may be granted in an individual case of unnecessary hardship, and the board makes and explains in writing the following findings. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property. These conditions do not generally apply to the property in the vicinity. Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property, and the authorization of the variance will not be a substantial detriment to the adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by granting the variance. Any previous subdivision ordinance under the old 910, which had variances were illegitimate, as they violated state law, and the reason for this variation from the approved lot sizes and setbacks. This was not done under the old 8-525-5 41 residential subdivisions. You were giving out variances as a developer asked for it, not in a case of unnecessary hardship. We're putting the cart before the horse. The new ordinances are inadequate and do not comply with the South Carolina Local Government Comprehensive Planning Act of 1994. You must update the comprehensive plan first. You're going to have to redo the entire ordinance. The Lawrence County ordinance that prohibits zoning without referendum is null and void. Referendums were done away with in the Planning Enabling Act. You must follow the act. You are not here to be slapping something together that is not allowed by the Planning Act. The Planning Commission needs to do its job and update the comprehensive plan. Until that time, not the first subdivision should be approved that requires any type of variance from the previous major and minor subdivision requirements. Any subdivision approved with a variance should be halted immediately. And all these things I've stated is, and I went through a lot of planning commission meeting minutes. And time again, through 2021, end of 2020 and 2021, all the things that we've been coming before you and saying were being said. And we continued on. We continued on granting variances that, you know, we had a planning commission guy finally said, hey, I only thought we were supposed to do this. It was a hardship, but we continued. We've continued on, even in one of the planning commissions when they did a training session and they were talking about all the tools that our planning commission needed to do their job properly. And, you know, one of the planning commissioners actually stated, well, if we don't have these tools in place, which was the comprehensive plan land map use, then how do we do our job properly? They can't. These ordinances, I applaud y'all for the effort that's being made, but that's not going to fix the issues. That's not going to fix the issues we're having if we don't have all the tools in place in this county to make it the type of growth we want. We've said over and over, we don't want to stop growth. We just want it to be done properly. That's all we're asking for. We want it to be to where we consider, and we want it to be to where we don't become, not picking on you, Mr. Patterson, but your words in the early 2021 is the biggest challenge in growth was going to this in the next decade, which has come a lot quicker than that we had the lack of preparedness. You hear all the time that we don't want to be Woodruff Road, and that's exactly right. The reason Woodruff Road is so horrible is the growth, because growth came to Woodruff Road with zero planning and zero concern for what was happening. It came, it popped up, and now it's a mess. Nobody wants to live there. At least nobody from here wants to live there. So preventing Lawrence County from becoming Woodruff Road would be our next biggest challenge. And that is correct. Our area is suffering already with traffic. I was on 385 the other day trying to come home, trying to get off at the Fountain Inn exit, and all of 385 was backed up on one side of the road trying to get off on an exit in Fountain Inn. And it's because not just, you know, the growth that's occurring in Lawrence County, it is part of Fountain Inn, I do understand that, but we're about to just add to that tremendously and what's already been done. So I'm appealing to y'all. Let's do the right things. Let's make sure that we have a comprehensive plan in place first before we continue. And I'll end with this. Should you approve any variances without updating the plan, we will get a court to put a stop to it. Thank you.
Amen.
Tomlin. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Evans.
Mr. Chairman, County Council. Unfortunately, we don't have a zoning plan in place. We voted against a zoning plan. Therefore, what you're asking the county council to do is almost impossible. Because we don't have a zoning plan in place. At this point, whatever it is that's on the table, they are almost at a point where there really isn't anything you can do about it. Now, am I right or wrong? You can place a couple of things in place, but it's not gonna stop the flow until Lawrence County has a zoning plan in place. There's no point in getting upset with Mr. Chairman or any members of the county council because, how long ago did we have that election? Quite a few years ago, we had that election, and we said no to zoning. So you're asking them to do that which is almost impossible. So God bless you all.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis. Mr. Higgs, are there any reports to council this evening?
None at this time, sir.
Council members, do you have any new approvals for boards, commissions, committees? All right, next up, I guess I'll call on Mr. Coleman. We have second reading on ordinance 932, project supply.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, it's the second reading. The first reading was the last meeting. Ms. Finley was here. Project Supply is a new company looking to come into Lawrence in a building that's vacant currently. It would be an $18 million investment and 123 new jobs.
Are there any questions for Mr. Coleman before I call for a motion?
What building, John?
It will be a shop.
Are there any other questions? I'll call for a motion, second reading of ordinance 932.
Approved.
Motion by Ms. Triple, second by Ms. Anderson. Is there any discussion? Before I call for that, I would like to commend Ms. Finley, and I think Ms. LaGrange was here too a couple of meetings ago. They did a phenomenal job representing your office in your races.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor of second reading ordinance 932, please raise your right hand. 7-0. Thank you, sir. All right, next up, we have third reading of ordinance 926 that will repeal and replace ordinance 910. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance 926, third reading.
Motion by Mr. Carroll,
Second.
second by Ms. Clark. Is there any discussion? Before we vote, I want to make sure council is fully aware, should this be defeated this evening, the moratorium would end immediately and we would revert back to ordinance 910 upon failure. Is there any other discussion? Here now, I'll call for vote. All those in
Mr.
favor?
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I thought, that we were going to, lay this and reinspect.
The, well, it fails the moratorium, that's what I was saying. You're talking about the implementation. Mr. Higgs, what, please outline for us the implementation plan for this ordinance.
Yes, sir. There'd be some internal operational things to go over, such as setting up a review committee, those types of things as outlined in the ordinance, as well as staffing as far as who would handle the intake of requests that come into the office. So there would be a little bit of time required. And I would ask this council to take that into consideration when considering this ordinance, of the amount of time to implement that from the staff and operation.
Suggesting that we delay this for a while.
I'm not gonna give my opinion on the vote.
As far as,
I'll make a, if I can know that, I'll tell you what, I make an amendment that this ordinance take effect January 1, 2023, and the moratorium remain in place until that date. That work? I'll make that in full motion, amended motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Yance. Is there any discussion on the amendment?
Mr. Chairman, yes, you're making an amendment to leave the moratorium in place as is, even with the passage of this ordinance until January 1st of 23.
Correct, to give staff time to become familiar with the ordinance and put mechanisms in place that they need to process
So the moratorium will remain in place if this third reading passes, is that correct?
it until
Until.
January 1. Yes, sir. Any other discussion? I'll call for a vote on the amendment to be added to the official motion. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, abstentions. The amendment passes 6-0 to 1, Councilwoman Anderson. No abstention. All right, now back to the initial motion. Is there any further discussion on the motion on the floor?
I just wish, that we look more at the variances, that come before the community. I want to make sure you, look at the variance. I understand where the people are coming from, in regards to every time someone comes to, the committee feels sorry for them or already know them or whatever it is, and they feel like they could be in the same predicament and too many variances are granted. So I do wish they would look at the variance a little more. But whichever way this vote goes, you don't have to hold us accountable at all times. You make sure you hold people feet to the fire when they say they're gonna do something for you. And then that you disagree, you make sure you just tell somebody how you disagree, and maybe eventually people will see exactly what you're trying to express. Because I really feel for you, but growth is something that's gonna happen anyway. But what you really want is to have controlled growth. And we've had an opportunity to have controlled growth, and we let that opportunity pass. And I was listening to a speaker today. You know, the window of opportunity sometimes is very small. So after the window is closed, it's very hard to get in. And so I want you to make sure that you're open enough to listen to all the opportunities that are presented to you. And I really do feel for you, because I know how I would feel. And I think that's where the planning committee have some problems, because they understand the feeling that you are expressing. So don't feel like you are left out. Don't feel like you're not getting to the place that you really need to get to, but make sure you hold our feet to the fire. Make sure we are accountable to you in all situations, whatever happens. And I think you'll move forward in the right direction of what you really want to do.
Is there any other discussion? I'd just like to elaborate and to talk about variances. I would agree with one of the speakers this evening. Not saying they were right or they were wrong, but personally, I was not happy with the variances that were being granted at the time, which is part of where 910 stemmed from, was to address some of those problems. I believe this ordinance is shored up pretty well, and I think council has been clear on the variances to where it has to qualify as has been stated. And I personally think it would be hard to do. As far as my comments on Woodruff Road, I appreciate Ms. Garrison bringing those back up. What we initiated at that time, I believe that evening or somewhere around that evening, we actually voted to pursue the possibility of zoning. We authorized staff to begin that adventure, going down that path, knowing it would take some time. And then, of course, in the meantime of that, we had some personnel changes, but I do want to ensure we were back on that track, because we do need plan growth, and it will take time. Matter of fact, I happen to know that today they were putting together some emails on the conference plan to start scheduling some community meetings. So I hope that in the near future, you will see those being announced. And I thoroughly encourage you to attend them when they come to your area. They're going to do a great job at trying to get into all the communities. I do not know exactly at which level, but I'm hoping for at least 5 districts at a minimum, if not breaking it on down to voting precincts. The point would be to come into the community so that people aren't here what each community desires on that comprehensive plan. We need to be on the lookout for that, because we don't want to be Woodruff Road, because Woodruff Road was done with no planning. We can't change what's been done in the past, but we can control what is done in the future. And those are my comments on that. Is there anything else before I call for a vote? Call for a vote on approving ordinance 926 upon third and final reading, repealing and replacing ordinance 910. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Abstentions? The vote count is 6-0-1, Councilwoman Anderson and abstention. I will take this moment to thank staff for the grueling effort they put into this. I know many of them spent long hours preparing it, having it bled all over with a red pen, changing it, correcting it, going back and forth. Lots of man hours from staff have been put into this. I do not want that to go unnoticed. Next, we'll move into new business. I'll call again on Mr. Coleman. We have resolution 2022-50C for an inducement project.
Yes, sir. And then B is for the first reading of the FILO. This is a new project, developer-driven project. It's looking at 200,000 square foot speculative building at Woodfield Industrial Park. This is the third one of these we got coming in Woodfield. It's at least 13.5 years. Construction prices are going up.
All right, are there any questions for Mr. Coleman on project dues? Hearing none, I'll call for motion to approve resolution 2022-50C. Motion by Mr. Tribble, second by Mr. Ryan. Further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. And of course, to follow that is the first reading of ordinance 933, which is the FILO agreement for project dues. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move for first reading approval of ordinance 933.
Motion by Ms. Anderson. Second by Mr. Carey. Is there any other discussion? As always, thank you and your team for bringing these projects in Lawrence County and improving everything around us.
Appreciate y'all.
All those in favor of first reading ordinance 933, please raise your right hand. 7-0. All right, next up, we have ordinance 934, which will be the repeal and replace of 655 and 673. Tonight is in title only. That is the, as you'll see in your packet, I'm sure you've already read, that is the manufactured home ordinance, the mobile park ordinance. As you all know, there were portions of it in 910, which a few minutes ago we just repealed, so it no longer exists. So we will be revamping. We'll be creating a new ordinance that will correct the original mobile home park ordinance and to make sure it reflects current needs. So tonight's first reading by title only. Mr. Perkins, do you have anything to add to that?
We'll be glad to get all council members that I'll ask Cheyenne if she'll send everybody a copy of those ordinances so they can be familiar with it. But they were never repealed with 910. It's time to take a look at those. Those are 2008.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve 934 on first reading by title only?
Motion to approve ordinance 934 by title only.
Motion by Mr. Ryan. Second by Mr. Carey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of first reading 934 title only, please raise your right hand. 7-0. All right, up next, I will call on Mr. Wilson. On the purchase request.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, council. Tonight, I asked that come before you to ask that approve a purchase for mainly road and bridge, but it'll also serve landfill and Parks and Rec. We asking for a bulldozer for the Road and Bridge Department, and we're asking for a trencher attachment for Parks and Rec. The bulldozer, as you know, we did ask for that in our capital. It was cut down to 99,000. We had an auction of equipment that we could no longer use, that it used to run its life cycle. Wasn't good for any other departments. We asked around and stuff. There was 21 pieces of equipment that we auctioned off. That auction brought in $103,000. We're asking to take the money from that for the purchase of the bulldozer and the trencher. We would put the money of, we put the amount of 99, we'd ask for a total of 91,000 to come from that 103. 6,000 of it would be for 6,056 would be for the trencher, and the bulldozer now would go to a price of 184,539. But of that 184, we have 99,000 that was approved in the capital funding this year's budget. So I asked that, kindly do so if y'all would approve that purchase for us. Like I said, it can be shared with multiple departments. Forward with that, please.
Further recommendation by Mr. Wilson. Is there any questions?
The 189 again.
The 189 is well, it's 184,539. That's the total price of the dozer. Of that, we had 99,000 in our budget, so we would be needing roughly that one would be 83,000, I think, 84,000 for that of the 103, and then the $6,056 would be for the trencher. That's where I come up with the 91,056.20.
I still don't get, but I don't understand what you're saying, really.
Make sure you know wrong.
I got both of these sale things here. One of them 189 and the other is 159.
I think you were recommending multiple models.
Okay.
Yeah, there's multiple models there.
Okay, which one are you recommending?
We're asking for the demo model. That's the one that's in stock.
Okay.
The other two are a year out on delivery.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. Anderson.
I see two of them. Order only. Okay, got you. Okay, so you're looking at the 184,000.
Right.
Okay, and we already had given you 99,000. And so what you're asking for now?
It's the remainder.
The money that you raised from the $103 be used for it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, gotcha.
And then the remainder of the 103, the balance of that would, which would, well, $13,000 would be put back. Auction proceeds back into the general fund.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the request as presented.
Motion by Mr. Rankin, second by Mr. Yanis. Are there any other questions or discussion? The time and travel mileage to go with that, is that for the warranty repairs or is that only for scheduled maintenance?
Maintenance.
Okay. And does this quote also include your tilt blade, the wide track? Does it include the rear brake you never mentioned today?
Yes.
Okay. All in this price?
Yes.
Delivered?
Yes.
Well, I assume that's what they're calling the sweeps. Is that what they're calling that? Okay. I just have a different name for what I'm. And we do currently have the equipment to move it around ourselves.
Yes, sir. Yes, we do have the local way of the road tractor.
Is there any other questions or discussion on this motion? Here none, I will call for a vote to authorize the work director to purchase the CAT T109 trencher attachment and the Case 850M dozer, fund not to exceed $91,056.20 from the auction proceeds, in addition to capital monies already approved. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. Thank you, sir. Next up, we have the federal assistant firefighters grants. I'll call on Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The assistant firefighter grant program is one that we have been writing grants for since 2010. We have received 2 grants so far this year from this program. One is for the Western Lawrence Fire Department. It's for equipment, replacing hose and nozzles. Total grant is for $45,200. The federal match is what they're paying is $43,047.61, and there's a grant match of 5% of $2,152.39. And this is for one of the assistant firefighters grants.
All right. Further recommendation by the fire director. Are there any questions on either one of these?
He's splitting them, right? He divided them up.
Go ahead.
The radio grant, we cannot take action on tonight. We're still having to look into the parts of that.
We're only taking action on fires.
No questions.
Carol? Second by Ms. Anderson. For West Lawrence Fire Department grant of $45,200, they grant match $2,152.39 to be paid for out of fund balance and account 123. Is there any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. Thank you, sir. All right, that is all I have for business. Moving to county council comments, I'll start on my right, Ms. Clark.
One thing I was gonna say is, I only serve 1 year here. Do keep in mind that, you know, we all work, live, and retire here. We do have to get along here. This is what we decide to stay. So my point is saying, let's try to work together and solve something. We can't please everybody. Everybody's not gonna be happy, not even me. But we do live here. We do live here because we chose to live here. And we do want to see growth in Morris County. So we're gonna have to come together and work this out. Because growth coming, whether we want it or not, it's coming. It's 2022. Soon we'll be into about 70 some odd day, we'll be into 2023. So we're gonna have to come together and figure this out. I just leave with you all that God is looking at each and every one of us, and we have to be accountable for our actions. Thank you all for coming out, expressing your concerns, your issues, and God's nation.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Ms. Bryant.
No, sir.
Approve.
Thanks, Chairman.
Yes. Okay. Sanders.
You believe I'm gonna say nothing tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, no, sir.
All right, I will say one thing, today they held a luncheon at the Ridge for Disability Special Needs and Employment Month. As always, it was well attended and had a great speaker. I want to recognize all those employers in the county. We have a lot more people realize that employ folks from the Disability Special Needs Department, including the county. When we had this conversation this time last year, we might have had one in the entire county. And I shamelessly did not get a count before tonight, but I know personally of at least 7 that work in multiple departments throughout the county. And I think it's phenomenal we're able to utilize that portion of our society because they are able to work and they are able to help us, and they're some of the best employees we have. So if you didn't know, this is Disability Special Needs Employment Month, and we're lucky to be a part of that here in this county. That's all I have. I'll call for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Clark, second by Ms. McCarron. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Or against? 7-0. 7-0. For here.